Painting with Menoth John is presented in Super Legitivision. Super Legitivision, the future of podcasting. It's .com.
Hello, I'm
Menoth John.
and I'd like to welcome you. First of all, let me take just a moment to thank you for allowing me back into your homes. If this is your first time with us, let me extend a personal invitation for you to drag out your
miniatures
and paint along with us each week. Let's go over to the canvas here and let's get started. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. Let's build a happy little cloud. Let's build some happy little trees. There are no limits here. You start out by believing here. You can almost paint with anything. All you have to do is practice.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sunday Night Extravaganza. You can practice any way you want to, but we would prefer that you practice here on Sunday night here at the fabulousness that is the Painting with Menoth John Sunday Night Extravaganza. I am, of course, Menoth John. You know me from such amazing movies such as Avengers. You've seen me appear in John Carpenter's Vampires, or you've also seen me here every goddamn Sunday night because literally, where else would I be? Ladies and gentlemen, of course, with us tonight we have up in the catbird seat, you recognize him as the Irrational Gonzo.
Hey.
But you may be asking yourself, where is John Spencer? And I will tell you that John Spencer is not with us this evening. Mr. John Spencer is enjoying the evening, taking part, celebrating the birthday of his roommate, and so he will be back with us next week. And Gonzo, we have a very special episode next week. We have a Brushhead gallery.
What? Already?
Yes, we have a Brushhead gallery. We have threatened this for literally weeks, that we were going to have a Brushhead gallery in early... Did anyone get music? That's hard. I hope everybody got music. Were you?
I didn't hear any on my end. That's the reason why I was asking.
Oh, you're kidding me. Did anybody get music? It should be. Anyway.
Okay.
So maximum detail. That's great. There we go. Hey, welcome to the Painting with Menoth John. You know, we're going to start playing music in the damn pre-ramble just so we can check this shit out, because there's nothing more embarrassing than getting the big show on after you've pre-rambled for a half hour and then have it be a shit show. Anyway, thanks everybody for telling us that we had music. Yes, next Sunday night, get your cameras out and get your models painted up, because we would love to have models paint pictures from you. Otherwise, it'll be a short fucking episode, and that's not okay. We are going to be giving away some awesome miniatures as painted by the equally amazing Seth Watkins. We have a Guild Ball Fisherman's team that we'll be giving away on this one. So if you want to get involved in the drawing, please become a patron.com of the Painting with Menoth John show. That's right down here, patreon.com/Menoth John. If you submit pictures to the Brushhead Gallery, and if you are a patron, you will be able to be entered in there for the drawing of the models. So get on in there and join us, support the show, and get yourself the opportunity. Now, if you want to submit pictures for the Brushhead Gallery, the way you do that is you submit them via email, not snail mail. Do not send pictures like Polaroids and shit through snail mail. That would be very 1980s. What we want you to do is we want you to send us pictures of the digital variety using the emails to PwMenothJohn@gmail.com. And in that subject line, if you would be so kind as to put Brushhead, that's one word, gallery, that's the second word, to PwMenothJohn@gmail.com. Send that shit in. We will put it all up in there. It will be this coming Sunday, so not tonight, a week from now. And you have until 3 o'clock in the afternoon in order to get those things. That's Central Time, by the way. To get those things in, and then you can be entered in. And it's going to be super sweet and totally legit. And we'll have Mr. Seth on. I haven't told Seth he's going to be on the show yet, so I should probably make sure that's going to be okay. But we are going to do that for you, Brushheads to show off the awesomeness that are you. Gonzo, I'm very excited for tonight's show.
What?
I am. I'm very excited. We are going to be painting Necrons tonight.
Oh, bastards.
I know, right? So we're going to be, I'm going to be engaging my reanimation protocols, and see what I did there? And I used I used a 40K reference. And we're going to be talking about dry brushing. We're going to be talking about some of Citadel's dry paints, which are a part of their paint line, the Citadel paint line. And we'll talk about how you use them and how you use them to great effect very quickly to paint a whole shit ton of models. And hey, Centervale, welcome. I want to thank everybody for joining us here tonight. If you are interested in seeing the results of me painting the Fane Knight Guardian, get on over to patreon.com/menothjohn, and you'll be able to listen to me talk about it on there at least. That is at the $1 level. At the $2 level, you'll be able to pick up listening to our wonderful co-host, Mr. John Spencer's co-host corner. That's super sweet and totally legit. And don't forget that if you subscribe to the audio feed, the RSS feed, which you can find over at the iTunes, then you'll be able to listen to the Adventures of Sewer Bear, which sounds like it would be about a bear that lives in a sewer. But actually what it is it's a superhero RPG. Were you aware of that, Gonzo?
I was aware that it was because we had talked about that on our 24-hour podcast we did.
I don't remember much of that show, so it's literally you could have said anything at that point.
Big surprise, right?
I know, right? So, at the beginning of the show, we'd like to talk about what we're going to be drinking during the show. And before the show started, during the pre-ramble, I drank a Force Blow. Gonzo, are you aware of what's in a Force Blow?
I heard that it's actually some really expensive liquors.
No.
That oh shit. Sorry.
No, it's Kraken. Kraken, which is $20 a gallon, and it's overpriced at that. So Kraken black rum, 2 shots of it in a tumbler type glass with some ice, and then you fill it up to the top with orange juice, and it's lovely. It tastes like an orange Julius. Did you have orange Julius's there in Arkansas?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So,
badass.
Yeah, so it tastes just like that. It's amazing. And then I'm going to be drinking LaCroix Peach Pear sparkling water. I'm going to try this right now. I've never tried this flavor before.
Oh, doesn't sound good.
Man, that's horrifying. I'm sad I have a 12-pack of this. When I first smelled it, I thought maybe I was drinking suntan lotion, but then it just got worse. It's not pleasant. But we're gonna struggle through it because we need water. I gotta stay hydrated for my natural bodily fluids. I gotta make sure that I've got enough natural bodily fluids to stay lubricated at my age. So, what about you, Gonzo?
I'm drinking a little bit of water, but my drink of choice is going to be some good old Shinerbach.
Shinerbach, the pride of Texas. If that's not their slogan. If that's not their slogan, it should be. So there you go, Shinerbach. You can shine your Bach to it. There you go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I shined my Bach 3 times the other night. Woo! Anyway, so we're gonna be talking about painting some Necrons tonight because I am coming up to my first game of 40K. Now, you, sir, are a more experienced 40K type fellow than I am.
Yeah, I guess so. I played it a long time ago, quite a few years. Got tired of the rule set, got tired of having to have 50 billion books, all the problems that was associated with it, and got rid of it all. And that was right around when War Machine Hordes came out. I see.
Now,
so when War Machine Hordes came out, I pretty much ditched all my 40K and jumped into War Machine.
Nice. Well, I have never played 40K before, so this will be my very first game, and I have chosen to go with Necrons, and mostly because Necrons are insanely easy to paint, and that is what we want. We don't want to turn this into a life sentence, because I understand that this is a very troop-intensive type game.
Yes, can be.
And it can be. And I think that Necrons do play a relatively troop-intensive style. But this gives us the opportunity to talk about a few things that maybe we haven't talked a ton about on the show. And that is, we are a beginner's podcast. We're not going to teach you the kind of things that Kat Martin or that Shoshi or Seth Watkins are going to be able to teach you, because I'm going to be very brutally honest. I'm not that style of painter. I'm not that good. But I do appreciate techniques that get things done on a fairly... so why not just add highlights to that OSL and it looks salvageable? Because otherwise I won't have anything to do on the show.
And you don't like orange.
That's it. I don't like orange. I want it to be a different color. So that's why I'm going to do it. And it's only like one unit of the Necrons that are the orange ones, and then all of the Immortals. I'm not going to dry brush the whole models here. I'm just going to do a little bit. So bring orange on the gun would look awesome. Jesus Christ. They're completely derailing my show, Gonzo. But I know everybody's got green, and the guy that had these painted over the top of the see-through acrylic, that was a little unfortunate, because that was like one of my favorite things about the Army, was it had the little see-through acrylic bits. I just thought that was kind of sharp looking.
You could still order those, I believe.
But then I'd have to pull this apart, and I think I would ruin the model. So we're just not going to worry about that. But so now they're voting. Everyone thinks that I should leave the orange. God. Well, anyway, so we can still demonstrate on a few of these things. Maybe I will try to salvage the orange, because I am a man of the people. You're aware of that, right, Gonzo?
No, I thought you were a man of your man.
I'm a man of the people. And but it gives us an opportunity still to talk about this stuff. This is the first time I ever encountered Citadel's line of dry paints was was this Rise of Rust. And this is the natural companion to one of their technical paints called Typhus Corrosion. And I've talked a lot about Typhus Corrosion and Rise of Rust on other shows where, when I did the Siege Toilet and did all the weathering and stuff like that, that was really a lot of Typhus Corrosion and Rise of Rust. And remember, folks, if you're using the Typhus Corrosion, use a brush that you hate, that you don't really like anymore, because it just fouls up your brush something hard. And then you come back and you do a dry brush technique on the Rise of Rust, and it really turns out really cool. So this is another in the series. Now, when you look at Rise of Rust, as you can see, it is almost a paste. That is not a liquid. That is a paste in there. And that is when I thought, hey, it's another dry paint, right? It's going to have the same consistency as this. This is Necron compound. It is another dry, what they call dry paint. But in this time, instead of it being a paste like you saw on the other one, it is just it's a liquid that is designed, it's very thick, but it is designed to be used strictly as a dry brush paint. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to shake this thing up a little bit and get it going. And I'm just going to demonstrate a little bit on maybe a couple of these Necrons. And I know you want me to keep them orange, okay? But I'm not going to. I'm going to. The Warriors are going to get dry brush, so I have something to paint on the show. So we're just going to put this aside here. And I went out and I bought a cheap brush that had a big brush head on it. And because I really wanted to paint these things in a hurry. Now, this is a Royal and Lag nickel. I got this at Michael's. It costs like $3 for a number 4 brush. So I don't expect it to last a long time, but I do expect it to be a pretty good dry brush. And in case you've never seen a dry brush before, what you do here is you just put a little bit on my brush, and then you rub it off. Okay? You rub it off onto here and get it kind of there, and then you just give it the business. Okay? And you just go back and forth and give it the business. And you can, this stuff, I mean, shit, you can just go nuts with it and just put it everywhere. And you can really paint fast this way. Now, the nice thing about this orange is, of course, that it's so bright that it's going to show through the metal. So it's going to take a little while to get it done. But that's okay. That's what multiple coats are for. And, that's essentially what you're doing here is you're just kind of just coming back and forth here and giving it the business. And
Well, why didn't you just reprimer it?
Because I didn't have any silver primer.
Oh.
But I've heard that's a thing.
Oh, yeah. I had actually played Necrons at one point, back when Necrons were just a white dwarf army. And Scarab Swarms weren't Scarab Swarms, they were Scarab models.
Oh, really? They were individuals?
Oh, yeah, the Scarab models used to be, instead of there being the base and had Scarab models on it, it was one single model. And what they did is they ate up armor. Because models used to have armor, like tanks and everything. And so what it was is every time you put a Scarab model on like a tank or a vehicle, it lowered their armor by 3 points.
Oh,
so the more Scarabs you had on there, the lower armor's got.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Boy, that'll screw you up.
So, yeah. Oh, yeah, it was devastating. And so I had built a Necron army, and yeah, I pretty much did the same thing. I primered it black and dry brushed it metal and washed it and added some OSL and done.
Yep. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to zoom this out just a tiny little bit because it's a little bit too tight in there. But that's all we're talking about doing with these guys is it's just a very fast paint technique. A lot of times when I'm doing a dry brush, I'm doing it as a way to pick up highlights on things. And I'll demonstrate here very shortly on something that's not a Necron model. But it's, if you talk about dry brushing, you talk about washing, and you're talking about two of the most fundamental techniques in painting miniatures. And if you can just get good at putting down an even base coat, and you can learn how to do a decent job with dry brushing, and you can and you learn how to do those washes, you're going to go a long ways towards being able to make a pretty serviceable looking army pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, I mean, because I'm not a great painter, but I dry brush all my metals on every one of my miniatures, just because I like the way the dry brush looked as a metal.
I agree 100% with that, Gonzo. I think that dry brushing metals, even with the P3 paints, is something that they really benefit from. Now, the thing that I had kind of going on in my head here was that I was thinking about not doing OSL on this, and was thinking about using one of the technical paints on here and trying to do it as kind of almost like a jewel color to it.
That'd be cool.
So let's give that a try.
I just did what you're doing right now. I painted the shoulder pads a different color just to give it, a little bit of pop. And then I did like red eyes. And I mean, I had the clear plastic rods. So. Yep.
Well, this guy did do different.
Change in color.
This guy did do these green shoulder pads and then just kind of outline them with a lighter green. And I think it looked out really, really good.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the Minister of Great Times with us in the chat room. It's about time. Thanks for being with us, Ryan. Love you. And he was our Minister of Great Times was his band opened up for Soul Asylum recently.
What?
Yeah. So that's really fucking cool. All right, so should we do green, red, or blue, Gonzo?
See, and people are going to tell you this, I'm partial to blue. I love the color blue. So almost every one of my armies has a blue theme to it. So blue.
All right, I'm going to try blue. We'll see how this turns out. I'm not super awesome at these. I can't remember the last time that I tried Flame Medic on screen.
Of course.
So we're going to try the blue. I don't think I haven't used this one very much. I'm trying to get the thing to mix up pretty good. Purple. I don't have the purple one.
You've got that wire on the gun, the tubing.
Yep.
You could paint that as a purple or, do whatever that is so it's a different color. I mean, there's ways to get a bunch of different colors on just a dry brush Necron.
Yep.
You could do like brass on the joints.
Yep.
And you just pick it out.
So we'll see how this turns out. I may be making a mess out of this. We'll see.
Hey, it's not like I can't dip it and do it again.
I'll just dry brush the shit out of it again. No matter. Now, the Citadel technical paints you have to put on pretty thick.
I have not used any of their technical paints that you're talking about, like the gemstone ones and.
Yeah, this is
stuff
not.
like that.
This is probably not going to turn out. That's fine. I'm used to doing it on a round surface, and I'm not doing a great job here.
Would have been better if you would have undercoated it black.
You know, you're supposed to, with these things, you're supposed to undercoat them silver.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I've never used them.
Yep. You're supposed to undercoat them silver, and then what you're supposed to do, I guess, is kind of put them on kind of thick, and then pull up on them towards the top part of the stone. And we'll see here. I'm going to come back on this side here. We'll put a little bit more on it and see what we get, and see kind of what we get out of it. And I may end up just painting over the silver. Who cares? This is experimentation, and folks, you gotta be bold. You gotta try some new things and experiment.
And the one good thing that I will have to say that while we do play War Machine Hordes, and everything is really cool, but in that you can't really mess up on your models that much, for the fact that you're going to use all the models in the army. You get a ton of models with 40K that you can kind of experiment, and if you fuck up, you're like, oh well, fuck it, I will only put 8 guys in this unit, or it's easy to get away with some other models like that, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I missed that
kind of
part.
Experiment a bit more.
I missed that part about War Machine Hordes. Once upon a time was you could add models individually to units back in Mark 1. The whole min-max thing is absolutely a function of Mark 2. This is interesting. So, I mean, that's kind of the effect we're getting. It's not the end of the world. We're gonna let that thing just kind of sit.
I didn't know you were using technical paint. I thought it was just like, oh, what color?
No, this is just technical paint. This is that gemstone stuff. This is the soulstone blue, and we're just gonna let that kind of go with it, and just see how that one turns out. Because it's interesting. This paint, as it dries, it changes. Now I see right away now here on the top that I may not have done a great job of kind of getting it even across the top.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think I'm going to just wait on that one. I'm going to wait on him. I really wanted to paint 40K stuff on the show tonight, which is why I mean, people are making a good point. I mean, these models are probably in a place where they could be played just exactly as how they are. And it'll be just fine. Yeah. But I wanted to paint some. Now this guy here, I'm going to try, somebody wanted to see green. And I've got 4 units of these guys. I got 4 10-man units worth of these guys. So let's try.
Don't like it.
Let's try a green one.
If you don't like it, just re-primer it.
Yep. Paint that shit silver right over the top of it. Okay, so let's see what we got here. This is some of the green. This is the Waystone green. This is the technical paint again. And the way I've always been told to do this is you kind of come heavy across the bottom,
mm-hmm.
and then you pull up to the top. So we're gonna try that on both sides of this thing and see what we get. Maybe I'm just kind of learning a new technique here, on top of everything else. Can everybody see what I'm doing? That's good. All right. So after I get done playing around here a little bit, I'll tell you what I'm doing here. My first game of 40K is coming up, and it is going to be on Thursday. Mr. Matt Wonky is going to be teaching me. He's an experienced 40K player. Has been much like you. He'd kind of stepped away from the game because of rules issues, and I think
mm-hmm.
that's been well documented that 40K has had some issues with the rule sets in the past.
Yeah.
And but a lot of people in my meta are kind of all in on this new edition. And so go ahead.
Question on that, since you're going to be getting in and you've got this, when is your son going to be playing orcs?
Oh God. Man, I'll tell you. I love the orcs. I do. I love the fluff. I love the looks of the model. They got so many dudes.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I think they're the most dudes of any army, aren't they?
Tyranids may be the next. I think Tyranids and then Orcs.
Yeah.
Depending on how you build everything, but yes.
So I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it depends on what he wants to do. We'll see what he wants to do. I thought maybe that would look cool if I put a little line down the middle of it here. Not sure if that is going to look cool, or if that's just going to look like a mistake. That looked like a mistake. So we're just going to cover over the top of that again. Just kind of touched up. There's a little bit of forgiveness in these paints. Not much, but some. And like
did you buy your books or anything?
I did. I bought I have Xenos 1, and I have the main rule book.
Okay.
So.
Did you buy the box set, or did you just buy the rule book?
I just bought the rule book.
Oh, I should have bought the box set.
Tell me why I should buy the box set.
Well, if you buy the box set, one, you get the cool rule book, which is okay. You get some dice, and you get 2 armies. And 2 armies that are actually really cool. And if you don't like the armies, you can sell that and make your money back on them.
Okay.
Because the new Primaris Marines are actually really good. And they're good for people to learn with. That way, if you have a friend and they want to learn how to play, well, hey, you've got that army. And the Death Guard, you would really like painting the Death Guard, because of the models are so detailed and so nice. They're so gross and disgusting and pussy.
They're Nurgle, right?
Yeah, those are Nurgle guys. You would have liked it, and plus you would have 2 armies that pretty much you could play with and you could have fun with. And like I said, if you don't like them, you can actually sell them. I know plenty of people, like I traded my Death Guard to one guy and he gave me the Primaris because I wanted the Primaris. And then I bought someone else's Primaris from him for like $50. Wow. And I think they're going for like 70 to 80 on eBay now.
Wow.
Or more.
Yeah, something to think about. I know they've got a copy of the starter thing. The starter box is what, like $170?
I have no clue where. It depends.
Yeah, I suppose.
Some of them are like 120, some are 160, just depending on where you get them.
Got it. Okay. Just kind of coming back here. These look kind of good with this stuff on them.
You know, you could, since how many units of Necron Warriors do you have?
I have 4 10-man units. So
if you got 4 10-man units, to differentiate the units, you could paint the rods different on each one of them.
That's what I was thinking about here as I was doing this. Now I'm slopping a little bit here as I'm putting this on here, but I can always come back with the silver there and touch up these parts. But I was thinking, then you could have a red unit, you could have a green unit, you could have a blue unit, and then you've got an orange unit. So I could do all the different colors. But I'm liking how that's turning out. I mean, this shit, guys. I mean, this is literally just an army I'm playing fuck around with. It'll be good times. And since we have Ryan in the house, it'll be great times. So let me share with you my 50-point list.
And you were using power levels, not...
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm using 50 power units. So this is... I decided that for my first game that what I wanted to do was just kind of keep it simple. I didn't want to turn this into, inventing how to calculate lists, because that'll come. That day will come. And so I'm going to take Imitek the Stormlord, because I have him.
Okay.
He's worth 12 power levels. And then I have 220 man or skeletons or terminators or whatever these things are, units of warriors. Okay. And the reason I went with 20-person units is because of the way reanimation protocols work. It just seems better to have a larger unit because it gives you more chance to lose dudes and bring them back rather than with 10-man units because, if you kill the whole unit, you don't get the reanimation protocols anymore.
Correct.
So 2 units of 20 of those. I'm going to bring the Annihilation Barge, which looks cool, and it's got big guns on it, and I like big guns, and I do not lie. And then I'm bringing an Overlord with a Resurrection Orb.
Okay.
And the reason I'm bringing him, and he's worth 7, the reason I'm bringing him is the Resurrection Orb, as I read it, is it's like an extra reanimation protocol once per game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's all you get is once per game is you get the is the way that works. So I'm thinking what I could do is just have when they get down really low, I have the Overlord there. He pops the Resurrection Orb, and I get that second reanimation protocol, and maybe I'm bringing back an awful lot of dudes. So
Necrons is one of the armies I really don't want to see just because of the recursion.
A lot of recursion.
A ton of recursion.
Yep. So now, correct me if I'm wrong. The way I understand it works is that at the beginning of every one of your turns, you get a chance to roll reanimation protocols, which is you get a chance to roll as many guys that are missing from your original unit number.
Mm-hmm.
So if I started with 20 and I'm down to 5, I roll 15 dice. And on 5s and 6s, I bring back a dude.
From the way I understand, yes. I'm not 100% on the numbers, but yes, that's what it sounds like. Every time, anytime a model dies on your beginning of your turn or whatever phase it is, you roll it and you get that back.
So it seems good.
Which is the more dudes you have, the more it comes back.
Yep.
I did want to ask, did you download the program that I told you to download?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And it seems good.
It's really good, and the reason why it's really good is because you don't have to use the book.
Right.
Because it'll print all the rules for you.
It'll print all the rules for you.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see that functionality.
Yeah, there's when you build your list, depending on how you have to build it, depending on what you're doing, whenever you print the list off, it'll print. And I pulled up one here, and you said it was Imhotep, the Stormlord?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And so I'm doing a quick, let's see, print roster. Bloodswarm Necro Scarabs. You can reroll hits of 1 for friendly units within him. It says Lord of the Storms says what it does, which is a stupid ability. My Will Be Done says what that ability does. What it does, what Fate Shifter, what that does. Undying, which does what that does. Says what Living Metal does what the Warlord trait. Just it tells you, and also gives you the stats of all the weapons and their ranges and their abilities, so you don't have to use the book.
Well, that's really good.
Yes.
Now, what kind of a format does that print it out in? Like 1 page or 2 page or?
It'll print it depending on how big your army. It'll print it out. It'll probably be 4 pages by the time you're done, just because you can print it with the rules or without the rules.
Got it. And I imagine at some point you get to the point where you don't need the rules on there quite so much anymore.
Correct. I mean, because eventually you'll learn, okay, I know what Blood Swarms Nano Scarabs do. So, okay, just remember it. But as someone that's new to the game, and like me coming back, I've got to go, okay, what does an assault weapon do? How does this work?
Yep. The other thing I would tell folks that are new to the game, if you get over there to miniwargaming.com, they put out a series of videos for new 40K players that are all about learning how to do things. So it really, I think, is going to be a great series. I watched it, and I feel like I'm a lot more prepared now to play my first game than I was beforehand.
I usually pop them in whenever I'm painting miniatures or putting miniatures together, just for
background noise.
Watching the game. Yeah, background noise.
Cool, man.
It makes it a whole lot easier. You know, you may do the Skittle Necrons.
But
I want to say Brother Scott decided to give you Skittle Necrons.
There you go. Skittle Necrons is good. And I'm just trying to see if I like this or not. We'll see. I may end up just painting over the top of this. I don't know if I like this or not. I mean, the original OSL one versus this, I think you can make a strong argument the OSL one is stronger. But that's okay. That's how you learn, guys. I mean, you try things, you make mistakes. Maybe it doesn't turn out exactly as you'd hoped it would, but that's what it's all about. So, I mean, overall, folks, I think that the gem paint is really cool. I think it works really, really well. I've used it a ton on my Retribution, and I really like how those jewels turn out. And actually, with this guy here, which is the Fane Knight Guardian, he's got quite a few of these little power nodules and stuff, and he'll be getting the jewels painted up on those guys. So I like how this guy turned out.
And so, just so people know, you've never played 40K before this edition, correct?
Never played 40K ever before. I've played Space Hulk, 3rd edition, but I have never played. That's the closest I've ever gotten to a GW game.
Correct. Cosmic Scotty Potty was asking how is the new edition different from 5th? I don't know if it was completely changed. It's been a while since I played, since War Machine and Hordes has been out, so I don't even remember what edition that was. But it's very simplified now. If you got a ballistic skill of 2+, you roll a 2+ to hit. It's really simple, really quick. You don't have to look through 50 billion books of the rules. The rules are very condensed now. If you're going to go, I think it's match play, which is where you buy the points and individual weapons, and you have to get real detailed like everybody's used to playing. You'd have to look back and forth, but it's still it's pretty simple, pretty easy. It moves pretty fast. Also on Facebook, Charles Sutherland was asking, or actually telling you that since you have a bunch of models, you're going to want to spread out to stop deep striking abilities. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, deep striking is when you can bring in, when your opponent can bring in, or you can bring in, something on like the far end side of the table, or basically anywhere on the table. I should say you want.
Typically, it's between outside of 9 inches of an individual model, and so you spread out your army really big, and they don't have really good places to drop those models
because they have to be
is very important.
You have to be a certain distance away from an enemy model, right?
Yeah, typically it's over 9 inches. Excuse me. And so that's pretty important. Now there are some models that can do differently. Like I have my Tau, my stealth team can drop a homing beacon that lets me place within 6 inches.
Okay.
Also, I have an ability that anytime you deep strike within 12 inches of a certain model, they get to shoot you as soon as you come down.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Yeah, and I have those on my Storm Surge. Yeah, go ahead and deep strike within 12 inches of my Storm Surge, and then he'll get to shoot all of his weapons and kill your guys before they land. Hopefully. So.
I think that of the ones here, I mean, Brother Scott is mentioning that he prefers the jeweled paints over the OSL. I think I like the red one of the 3 colors. Although I know that Brother Scott was saying the blue pop's pretty good. I don't know. I'm going to put these aside for right now and think about them for a little bit longer. See what I'm going to decide to do. But I think I'm looking forward to that. I think what I'm going to do is I've got the technical paints out. I think I'm going to go ahead and do the jewels on my Fane Knight here so I can get this guy done.
Well, I mean, you could also, like when you're working on, since you got the technical paint, the jewels on them, you also could figure out the rest of the paint scheme by painting, because I know people that paint the faceplate, the skull faceplate, different color, or the color of whatever their OSL or whatever it is, so you could test that out.
Yeah, that's what this guy.
Shoulder pieces.
That's what this guy did. He did the skulls and are a different color. They're more of a bone-ish color on the front. He did a nice job with it. I guess I shouldn't complain too much. This guy did a pretty nice job on these. That is certainly an option that I have available to me.
I mean, there's a lot of ways you can go with it.
Cool. I'm gonna probably go ahead.
There's also a lot of, I guess you can call them third party people that build and provide alternate sculpts or alternate pieces to your models.
Okay.
So if you wanted to get, like, you didn't like the OSL and you didn't like painting them, you could go and buy those plastic rods in a different color from a different company.
Got it.
I know that like alternate models. Like I have, I think it's whatever, Celeste or whatever she is. The angel-looking chick. I bought the different sculpt of her for whenever I decide I want to play with her.
Now, is she a tall model or what? What is she? Who's?
She's the one that's flying. She's on these ribbons and she's got wings.
Okay.
And she flies and has these two bodyguards that go with her.
Okay.
And I bought the alternate sculpt from a different company because I liked the way it looked better, which is perfectly legal to play in the game, which is really interesting. It's kind of weird coming back to 40K and go, oh yeah, I can just kit bash this model for whatever I want.
That is a nice thing. I mean, I think there's a lot of creativity that goes on then that maybe we don't always see every day in War Machine and Hordes.
Yeah. I mean, and not saying that, you can't do type of kit bashing per se in War Machine and Hordes. It's just very strict.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So when you were looking at the 8th edition rules, Gonzo, what was the thing that you think that what's one thing that they didn't get right? Because we've been singing a lot of praises of it, and I want to stay positive, and don't get me wrong here, but I mean, there's clearly some. It's not all good. I mean, there are some things that people have mentioned that they're concerned about. What is maybe one thing that you've noticed that you're like, not sure that was such a hot move on their part?
One of the things I don't like is the deployment rules.
Okay.
You can play your basic where you both set up 12 inches on either side of the board and you just beat the crap out of each other. The one thing I don't like, but I hear it's all different because it all depends on, like, if you're going to do tournaments and different scenarios, is whoever completely sets up their entire army first, goes first.
Okay.
So, say you've got 20 units and I've got 10 units, I'm going to go first no matter what. And if I have quite a few units that can deep strike and get into you, I'm going to blow apart part of your army before it gets to do anything.
Okay.
Because you can come in on the first turn with your deep striking units. Okay. And a deep striking crisis suit unit that can shoot, 40 times and throw out all the stuff before your models get to is, I don't want to say a bad play experience, but you've got to prepare for it. You've got to set up so they can't do that. I don't like that rule. I don't like that whoever deploys first gets to go first. I still think there should be a dice roll or something that happens.
So there's no stealing the initiative anymore?
No.
Really?
Not that I've seen. Now there's so many different ways to play the game now that they can be, a lot of people can get confused on how to play and what to play. So you're like, all right, we're going to play, with PowerPoints. We're going to play by match play. We're going to play recreating a battle. We're going to play like a tournament play, all these different ways that you can build and play that it can be daunting for someone that's brand new to the game. So I would definitely, if you're going to get into the game, go to your meta, go to your store and say, what version do y'all play? How do y'all play? What are your, I don't want to say house rules. Excuse me, as I burp there really loud. But what do your store typically play as? And most people will play tournament style type. And that will just vary. But I'm sure anybody's going to be like, hey, you want to just play a 50 power level point game? And they're like, yep, go for it.
Yeah, and I think that eventually I'll probably morph into playing more of the points because I, obviously thought has gone into, God, this damn technical paint on the jewels is so good. Man. I think that eventually I'll probably be playing more of that points version of the game just because, I like it to be as balanced as possible. And that's probably the best way to get a balanced experience. I mean, I would guess. I don't know. I can't say for certain. But
it is. And from what I understand, like I said, I have a pretty decent competitive group around us. And they're looking at, 2,000 points as being the tournament style point event, and you just bring 2,000 points. But you also, when you buy the model, you have to buy each individual weapon. You just don't get 1 point value, and that's it.
Right. You have to. There's a lot more of selecting what weapons you want and that kind of stuff in this game than there ever is in War Machine Hordes. I mean, obviously in War Machine Hordes, you got a model, you got a weapon. It's what it comes with. It's right there on the card. There's no, choices as far as that's concerned.
Correct. I mean, but it also lets you tailor what you want. Like, okay, I don't want to bring burst cannons with all my guys. I want, heavy hitting stuff. So if I know if I'm going to be fighting against a vehicle, I can put a bunch of wounds into it really quickly.
Yep.
But I mean, that could be what, you want. I mean, what I've learned with the game, I play Tau. I can't get into melee. I get my ass handed to me if I get in melee. So I have to shoot everybody as much as possible. So I need as many shots as possible with the highest damage and the most AP loss on the guy's armor. Well, I need that as much as possible.
It seems like the with a bag of dice game, the way 40K is, that attack saturation is a huge deal to get your number of successes up.
Correct. I mean, if you're going to roll 50 dice and you're going to drop their AP by 2, you're going to get some stuff done. But if you roll 50 dice and you drop their AP by 0, there's still going to be a chance you're going to drop it.
Yep. I just see one little thing I forgot to paint here on his wrist, and I got to be really careful with it because I don't want to fuck up. There, I think I successfully didn't fuck it up. I'll tell you what, Doug Hamilton, that guy. These models are so beautiful. He does such a beautiful job. And there's so much detail on them that I just realized that the little Fane Knight here had on his little gauntlet, had a little symbol that matches his shield. Yeah. And so I wanted to make sure that I got that painted. He's done. He goes on the shelf. Damn it. That's awesome.
Which, talk about Doug, I got to talk with him over Gateway Open.
How's he doing?
He's doing really good. He's working on a bunch of new models. Real excited about it. So a bunch of Cricks, some Kador stuff. He's really, really, really jazzed about what he's doing right now. He's super excited. Can't wait for everybody to see it. He's a super cool guy.
Yes, he is.
Get someone to chat with. He'll talk to you about anything. He doesn't care. He doesn't mind talking about his work too. So if you have questions about modeling or whatever, he doesn't have a problem.
So pro tip when talking to Doug Hamilton, he has a very dry sense of humor. If you don't like dry senses of humor, please understand he's not a jerk. He just has a very dry sense of humor. And you gotta understand that getting right up in front.
He's a great guy.
Mm-hmm. And Jesus, is he talented?
Yes, he is. He makes some really good sculpts, which PP sculpts have really stepped up in the last 3 cycles of miniatures, I would say.
I think that you could go back to probably something like the Northkin Shaman.
Oh, yeah.
And you really start to see... I think it's when they started to really integrate a lot more resin in their products that things really started turning around for them, because the metal sculpts were obviously becoming cost prohibitive for them to do large scale ones. I mean, things like the what the hell, the Carnivian, the Extreme Carnivian and stuff like that. Those are cost prohibitive models. Where I think they really started knocking it out of the park is when they started doing if you look at Imperatus, for example, and I would say that Chimera here, which is very reminiscent of Imperatus, is a better model than Imperatus is. He goes together better. He's less fiddly because of the way the loincloth works on it, and they've gotten better at sculpting, at casting larger pieces, and it's a beautiful damn model. And you go back to, the Northkin Shaman and some of the other ones that are of that same generation where they were starting to cast a lot of resin, and they're all amazing. They're just all good. The Hand of Judgment is amazing. You look at the kits, and then as they started getting into the more hard plastic stuff, really, really top-notch stuff.
Were you in the game when one of their key things was Full Metal Fantasy?
Hell yeah. Dude, I was in Mark 1, and I came in right when Legends came out, and Legends was the first book that they started experimenting with Restic. And before that, there was no plastic. Everything was metal. And they took it as a point of pride that they were poking fun at GW at the time, saying that they had done the wrong thing by going into plastic and, look at their cheap miniatures. They don't care about their miniatures. They're doing it wrong. And now here we are, 10 years later, 6 years later, probably 8 years later. And, Privateer's been playing catch up. And the Restic stuff is hot garbage. And I'm not a fan. But boy, their resins and stuff like that are knocking it straight up out of the park.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely getting better in their game with their plastic and resins. I think it was probably like 4 years ago or so. I was talking to one of the PP guys, and they were talking about how they had Colossals long before they even had them a glimmer in their eye out in the public. And they were worried because they couldn't bring it out in a full metal model.
Right. Oh my God! Could you imagine?
Just been too expensive.
Could you imagine a full metal colossal model? Holy shit! It would weigh 70 pounds.
No, you put that thing in a sleeping bag and go to town on somebody with it.
Oh my God! You'd have to register it as a deadly weapon.
Can you imagine trying to fly with that thing?
No. Excuse me, sir. Why do you have a bus in your bag?
Yeah, because someone had mentioned that he just got started with the studio and Colossal were just coming out. And he says, "Yeah, I saw those not too long ago, and they showed me the full metal version, and they were like, we can't have a full metal version of this."
No worky.
Which is okay, But yeah, their stuff has gotten better.
Yeah, it sure has. Yep, big fan of their more recent sculpts. But anyway, I think the production quality has certainly gotten better. They aren't putting mold lines down the middle of faces anymore.
Remember the first Convergence models?
Yeah. And I mean, that's the reason I don't have Convergence, more or less, is that I couldn't justify the difficulty of the assembly. Because they were just kind of a mess as far as where the mold lines were and stuff like that. And, I just couldn't bring myself to doing it. So, but like I said, they have greatly improved. I put together, the Siege Toilet was the first of the polystyrene kits that I ever put together, and it was a dream come true. Mm-hmm. Beautiful, all the very few joints that you had to really repair. Everything went together really very well. It was really a good kit to work with. Now, I have not tried the Inditer kit for Protectorate. I've heard it's really, really good.
The last one I put together was I did the new Colossal kit for Khador, and that went together really well. And I had that at War Machine Weekend last year. Mm-hmm. And people were really impressed with it whenever I was putting it together at War Machine Weekend, and it was really good. I thought it was just, there's something I remember. Brother Scott, Gorton Battle Box. I finally got rid of the Gorton Battle Box to somebody. And I have, what was it, what's the other mercenary caster that they had as a battle box then?
Magnus,
yeah, I had the Magnus Battle Box and gave that to somebody.
Anywho, did we have any questions this week?
I haven't seen any. Pretty much we've been answering them as we're going because people have asking about your paints.
So, Not impressed. Not a huge fan of the jeweled paint that I just did. Gonna be very honest. I was hoping
Didn't
it
turn
would.
out the way you liked it.
No, I was hoping it to be closer to the transparent sticks, but it really wasn't. It wasn't anything like it at all. Much bigger fan of the jewel paint on jewels. Imagine that. And I'm just kind of I'm actually painting over the top of some of these because I just did not like how it turned out.
So, what are you painting them?
I'm just going back to silver for now. I don't know if I'm going to go back and do orange and all that kind of stuff, but I'm certainly not going to keep them. The green and the blue were not easy to look at. So
They weren't pretty.
no, I may try a more conventional paint on them just to see how I like it. This Necron compound is super thick, not super easy to even dry brush with, to be honest. I'd rather dry brush with a privateer paint, to be honest. God, the paints are just better. I mean, Citadel washes knock it out of the park. There's just no comparison. But, yeah, I'm not sure if I dig this Necron compound. It's really not that awesome to work with. Anyway. So, it's 7:56. Make sure, folks, remember we have a Brushhead gallery coming next week Sunday, with our good friend Seth, hopefully. And we'll be giving away a Guild Ball Fisherman's Faction, or whatever the hell team. And we'll be doing that on the show. And PSA, Jim Beam Maple isn't too good. Well, that's good. I haven't been able to find it, so I'll stop looking for it. So, yeah. So anyway, that's good. Good. I think we talked a good amount on what dry brushing is all about, all that kind of stuff, and we talked a little bit about 40K. So hopefully, if this is if you're a 40K fan and are enjoying our 40K discussions, leave us a comment on the in the comment section on the YouTube, and we'll be sure to comment back to you. We look at all the comments. We answer most of them. Try to answer all of them. Depends on how life is being to us. If there was go ahead.
I was going to say, and I am not particularly awesome at all the rules and particularly about all the lingo. So, I mean, I'm still relearning. That's the best way to put it. I'm relearning everything that I have to. Because even it was, when I played my first game, I was going back to PP rules. I was like, oh, get that out of my head. No, don't do that. Do this.
Yeah. It's interesting. The part that's really struck me is that it seems like a very simple rule set, with the exception of the fight phase. There's a fair amount of complexity around the fight phase, where you have you pile in, and when do you pile in, and where can you pile in to, and all that kind of stuff. And it seems like that's pretty complicated. But other than that, it seems like a really, really simple game. Just bring a lot of dice, roll a bunch of dice, and see what happens.
Yeah, a lot of people call it a beer and pretzel game because you're just rolling a bunch of dice and beating the crap out of each other.
Sounds like fun. I mean, it does. It just sounds like a good time to do.
Yeah.
And,
I agree.
So we'll definitely... When is the next Brushhead Gallery? That is this coming Sunday. We've announced it a few times here. Make sure you get it over to PwMJ@gmail.com. Put Brushhead, one word, gallery, second word, in the subject line, and get your pictures in. If you want to be entered into the contest to win the army, we save those big prizes for the patrons, because they are the ones that are helping to keep the lights on for the show. Patreon.com/menothjohn. $1 plenty to get into the fun, and we'll go ahead and send it out to you. But it is this coming Sunday. Make sure that you get your stuff in, and it'll be super sweet. I don't have a whole lot more to talk about and to paint, to be honest, because the dry paint and the idea on the jewels went sideways so hard that I think I'm not going to paint anymore on these for right now.
You could show us your models.
I could show us some
of your
models.
others.
Oh, do you want to see some of the other models I got?
Oh yeah, yeah. Show us all your other cool stuff.
Okay, well I don't have them right next to me because I wasn't
Oh,
planning on doing that. I have like 40 warriors and 10 immortals sitting next to me, but I can kind of talk about what I've got.
oh yeah.
Let me go through the thing here. I mentioned on the, and we'll do this. We'll talk a little bit about it here. I've got. Let's see here. I have Imitek the Stormlord, and I got all this from a guy in San Diego, and thank you very much to him. So I got it for about 50%. We have. I got an Overlord. I got an Overlord and 2 Lords. I got a couple of Cryptex. I got Nemesaur Zendraka. And then let's see. I got a Catacomb Command Barge that also turns into an Annihilation Barge. I got 40 Warriors, 10 Immortals, 5 Death Marks on a sprue. I got 5 Lich Guard. I got let's see here. I got a Ghost Arc, a Night Scythe that can turn into a Doom Scythe, depending upon what weapon I clip on the bottom of it. I have 3 Canoptic Wraiths. I have a shit ton of Canoptic Scarabs. And those are kind of interesting. They have, let's see, they have 4 attacks each. They are Strength 3, Toughness 3, and their weapons are AP 0. So they hit on 3+. So 4 weapons, and each unit contains 3. So that's 12 attacks.
Okay, it's weapon skill 3+. What's the strength of its weapon?
Strength 3.
So it's wounding most likely on a 5?
Probably most likely on a 5. Because most things have toughness like, 5 or 6?
4 or 5.
Yeah,
depending
so
on what it is.
So the way toughness works and wounding works is that this would be if the strength is less than the toughness of the thing you're attacking, then it's a 5+, right?
Yeah.
And then if it's double, it's a 6+.
Yeah, it's pretty easy toughness. If it's the same, it's 4. If it's less, it's 5 up to 6, and then keep on, and then just go backwards.
Yep.
It's not too hard to figure out.
I've got 3 Tomb Blades, which are the speeder bike things. I've got, let's see here. Talked about the Annihilation Barge. Talked about the Doomsday Arc. And that's it. That's what I've got. It's pretty cool.
And what all are you going to play this weekend? Or this week?
This week I'm going to play 50 power levels. And I'm going to play Imitek the Stormlord. 40 warriors. So it's 220 warrior ones. Let's see. Cardboard-like paper for the dry brush paint. Okay. And so I'll have the 40 warriors. I'll have the Annihilation Barge. And then I'll have an Overlord with a Resurrection Orb. And that'll be 50 power levels. And so I don't know what I'm going to be playing against. Don't really care. I'm just going to try to learn something. We'll play one of the ones that you've got 6 objectives on the table, and we'll, one of them's worth 4, the other one's worth 2, and one of them's worth 1. And we'll just play some screw around. My guys will come on. Some of them will die. Some of them will come back to life. That's what I love about it. So, anyhow, did you see any movies this week?
I actually did watch a couple of movies, and they are classics.
All right.
And they were cartoons.
Okay, well, we're going to go ahead. Actually, I saw a cartoon this week, too. I'm going to go ahead and get the get the crotch cam out of my face. And we're going to put the painting light up into its upright and locked position. And we can do the media section here for a while. Because I've been painting literally all day. And I'm pretty well done with painting for today. But why don't you tell us about your first movie, and then I'll tell you about my movie, and we'll kind of go back and forth like that.
All right. So I spent pretty much Monday just chilling out, relaxing. So I put on Netflix, and I watched a movie I haven't watched in a long time. Brought back a lot of good memories. And it was really cool because when I saw it as a kid, I thought it was one of the coolest movies ever. And it was The Last Unicorn.
The Last Unicorn. Now, I have heard of this movie, but I have not seen it.
Oh my gosh, you've got to watch it. It is on, I believe it's still on Netflix. It is a Raskin and Bass type cartoon.
Okay.
It was very interesting because when I watched it the first time, and then I watched it again as an adult, it's still cool. But what I thought was really interesting was the nudity that was in it that I didn't realize as a kid.
Shut up.
Yeah. There is the harpy that's in there, and she's got saggy, droopy, disgusting hag boobs.
Well, that's unfortunate.
And the thing is I never realized it as a kid because it didn't pop out to me. But as an adult, I watch it
Didn't
and I'm
pop out to you. That's funny.
like, yeah.
I see what you did there.
But I was like, now people would have instantly realized that and instantly saw that. And I was like, okay, maybe this isn't a good kids movie. But it is. It's a great kids show. Great animation. Like I said, it's done by, I believe it's the Raskin and Bass group that did it, that did the Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit version cartoon.
Rankin and Bass. Rankin and Bass.
Yeah, Rankin and Bass. Sorry.
Yep.
Really cool animation, really cool fight scenes, really cool characters, really good story. And they were actually originally going to do it as a live action.
Mm-hmm.
And the king was supposed to be Christopher Reeves.
Oh.
And then he passed away.
Shut up.
No, yeah, and then he passed away, and then it, of course, went to a dead project. Which it would have been a great, live action movie. I mean, I'm sure it wouldn't have been a problem. It could have fit in. It fit our area. People would have liked it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was really interesting to see that and watch it as an adult and still enjoy it as an adult. So I was really impressed by it. I was like, it still is a good quality cartoon today.
Very good. And you say it's on Netflix right now.
I believe it is still on Netflix.
Okay. That might be one I have to check out because, I mean, I've heard people talk about it in the past, and it's a movie I'd never seen before. It's got a bit of a cult following to the point where there are, the Last Unicorn, like, watching parties and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, people get all in that movie.
Cool. Even better if it's on Canadian Netflix. I understand. I hear you, Rave Bomb. I hear you. So cool. I watched, we watched Spirited Away this week. And it was from the suggestion of my son, Chuck. And it had been a long time since I had watched that movie. And Spirited Away, for those of you who don't know, shame on you, is it's a Hideo Miyazaki movie. I think I pronounced his name properly. And Miyazaki is the Walt Disney of Japan. And he created this. This was one of his first really, really big mainstream hits here in the United States. And it is the story of a young girl who is moving to a new house with her family. And along the way, father, as fathers are wont to do sometimes, takes a wrong turn, gets them lost. And they end up walking into this mysterious building. And when they cross over to the other side, they're no longer where they were. They were just a little bit down the hill from their new house. And they ended up in a kind of a different land. One thing leads to another. Their parents get turned into pigs. And the movie becomes ostensibly this girl's quest to get her parents back and get back home. And it's really, when you watch, Miyazaki is very well known for making very strong female characters in his movies. You look at Princess Mononoke, you look at Spirited Away, you look at some of Kiki's Delivery Service, and movies like that. They all feature very strong female leads. And this is a movie that follows this girl's kind of moving from being a very scared, very immature young girl to being one who has the fate of her parents' lives in her hands, and she has to grow up a lot in a very short amount of time. It has to be very brave. And that's it. It is anybody that tells you the animation isn't art needs to watch Spirited Away, because it is so artfully done. The animation is beautiful. The vistas are beautiful. There's a lot going on underneath the surface. And I made the comment to Belinda this week while we were watching it, was that I wish I knew more about Japanese mythology as a result before I had seen this movie, because there is so much going on in this movie that I don't understand. So much of the symbology of clearly what's going on that I wish I'd understood better. And it's folks, if you haven't seen Spirited Away, shame on you a little bit, but go out and see it. I don't even know how you watch this movie anymore. You can't. You have to have the disc. I'm pretty convinced, because it's not on any of the streaming services, and you can't even rent it on Amazon. So you have to.
I buy all of his movies.
He's worth a purchase. Have you do you own Porco Rosso?
Let's see. No.
Okay, I have not watched that one yet.
I own Kiki's. I own Nazca Valley of the Wind, Ponyo.
Yep.
Spirited Away.
Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, Princess Mononoke. Because see, I remember watching Valley of the Wind long time ago as a kid or young adult, and I was like, "Whoa, this is actually really cool."
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of my first steps into like animation and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yep. And then we turned on because we watched it in two parts. We watched half of it, then we watched the finish of it another time because it started getting a little late the first time. And then I popped in Cowboy Bebop because it was time for Chuck to watch Cowboy Bebop. And my Cowboy Bebop is simply the best anime ever made. It is 24 episodes with the best payoff. Yep, there you go. Oh, there you are. I see Ein in the group. Yep, you got what, 2 of them up there? 2 pictures?
Cowboy Bebop, and then there's another one.
Okay. Oh yeah, there's Faye. All right, cool. And
it's my favorite anime of all time.
What's that?
It's my favorite anime of all time.
Oh, same for me. Absolutely the best.
Yes.
The character develop is amazing. The way that they introduce the characters at the beginning, where you get an episode that introduces the different characters one at a time. First you meet Spike and Jet Black, then you meet Ein, then you meet Faye, then Edward comes. It's just absolutely amazing. And the ending kicks you so hard in the feels. The last 3 episodes just kick you in the feels for an hour and a half. And
did you watch the movie with them?
I have watched the movie, and it is amazing.
Yes.
Yep. So for the whole Cowboy Bebop, as far as I'm concerned, franchise is a winner. I own the discs, but right now it's available on, I think it's on Hulu right now to stream. So get on out there, and I highly recommend Cowboy Bebop. You were mentioning you had some. I'm going to give Cowboy Bebop 0 shots of Kraken because.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because it's just awesome. What was your second movie of the week, buddy?
And what's funny is this is going to be our animation episode because it's another cartoon. And it goes with the last unicorn, and it was Flight of Dragons.
Flight of Dragons.
It has John Ritter in it, and it's about a guy that believes in science and stuff like that gets transported to a magical realm that has dragons in it.
Okay.
And he goes from being a human to being a dragon.
Oh.
And they talk about how he has to stop believing everything scientifically and just kind of accept things. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that always remembers is how he tries to figure out how dragons breathe fire.
Okay.
And he's like, well, we eat this rock and then we breathe fire. And he's like, well, it just can't be that simple. And so he breaks it down as, okay, I eat this rock. Oh, this rock has the ability to catch fire. But how do I catch it fire? And he's like, well, we use our tongue and it touches the back of this thing. He goes, oh, you mean these 2 things back here that has an electrical charge when we breathe out. And so he brings all this science into how a dragon breathes fire. And it's about a guy using science to fight magic.
Cool.
And it's pretty cheesy animation, but John Ritter in it, and I love his voice in it. It was really fun. I own it. I just had to pop it back in because of watching The Last Unicorn again.
Excellent.
It's a really good show. You can tell, I mean, the animation style is, the late 70s, early 80s type style that you're used to, but it was a great movie. I was really impressed by it.
Cool. Now, you said you have a third. How many shots of Kraken for this one?
You might need like one just because it's kind of trippy.
Got it.
And then my last one, because I was on an animation trip.
Sure.
I popped in Wizards.
Okay, now you were talking about trippy.
Yes.
So on the trippy scale, we've gone from The Last Unicorn through the second one. Now we've just gone straight up trippy. Ralph Bakshi movie, 1970 something, I would imagine.
Yeah. I bought the Blu-ray of it a long time ago, or whatever version it was, and I was like, I've got to watch this again because I was just on a big animation trip and just threw that in the player, and I was like, okay, I just need to sit back, chill, put some models together, and just laugh at all the stupid jokes.
Yeah. Wizards is an interesting piece of animation.
Yes. And the thing is everybody that's seen it knows it, and it's instantly, yeah, Brother Scott, they got Fritz. I mean, lines like that.
Yep.
The two monks. I mean, everything. The ending scenes of the movie. And the way that, was it Stereoscope is what it was called or whatever?
Rotoscope.
It was filmed? Rotoscope, yeah. Where they got everything out of it. And everything's just so different.
Yeah.
The way that thing was done.
Can you give a brief basic synopsis of what's going on plot-wise?
The best way to describe this is the world has completely gone back to like medieval fantasy, or just fantasy.
Okay.
With fairies and dragons and stuff like that, until an evil wizard finds all of Hitler's old propaganda and war machines.
Okay.
And he finds all these old war machines and guns and bombs and all this World War II war relics.
Sure.
And decides to try to take over the world. And the fairy fantasy people decide they're not going to do that, and they're going to go kill him. So it's kind of like a technology versus magic type thing. And it's somewhere along the way, they decide to branch off and do some really weird shit.
Yeah.
And then come back to the story. But it is such a classic movie. And the thing is I'm going to give it where you need to take a shot of Kraken or a couple of shots. And not because it's a bad movie.
No,
it's because it makes it so much more fun.
It eases you through it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, it sounds good. I don't have a whole lot more to talk about as far as movies are concerned or on that kind of stuff. And you know what? There's not a single thing in the How to Make a Painting with Menoth John episode guide that says you got to do the full 90. So, do you have anything else for us tonight, buddy?
No, we got to make sure we remind people and probably post a bunch more saying to make sure we do the Brushhead Gallery.
Brushhead Gallery, this coming Sunday. Make sure you send in your shit. If you want to be included on the free Guild Ball professionally painted by the amazing Seth Watkins, get on over to patreon.com/menothjohn. Sign up for our Patreon. Help support the show. You make everything more awesome when you do that. We can add like 64 dancing unicorns on the screen if we get enough patrons. And I don't know what that level is, but I'll tell you, if we hit it, I'll put on 64 dancing unicorns somewhere. But get on the show. Support us. If you are, by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, if you are a supporter of the show and you have submitted some pictures of stuff that you've painted to pwmenothjohn@gmail.com, we will enter you into the contest, and you could win that stuff. So it'll be super sweet and totally legit. This week, I'll be finishing these press gangers. I'll be probably working on Himera a little bit to bring my Retribution back up to 100% painted. And I'll be playing my first game of Necrons this week. So there you go.
And we should expect a battle report on that.
You will get a battle report on that for sure. And you know,
Ooh, will
Yeah.
that be on the pre-ramble or the show?
well, maybe that sounds like a poll of the show question. Should we talk about the Necron battle report during the show, or should we be talking? You know what? We probably will do it during the pre-ramble, because Brushhead galleries tend to be a whole episode in and of themselves. So
Yep.
if you want to hear about me fumbly fucking around with Necrons, tune in for the pre-ramble, or listen to it if you're a patron. So on behalf of the Irrational Gonzo, I am Mr. Menoth John, and on behalf of John Spencer, who's partying it up with his roommate, y'all have a great one, and we will see you next week on Painting with Menoth John. Good night, everybody.
Night, guys.